Hello, grade 3 friends. Welcome to our online math class. This is Miss Crystal here with our daily math lesson. Last week, you guys all said the video went well and it was smooth, so I'm going to try to do the same kind of thing this week. I remembered to hit record, so we're off to a good start. I'm excited. So last week, we worked on lining up the numbers for 3-digit addition, and when I looked at all of your work and when Mrs. Dennis looked at your work, we were very excited to see how good you did and how you seem to be understanding it. So we're going to move on this week to story problems using 3-digit addition. Now, we've done story problems before. They're nothing new, but there's one thing that I always say when we are starting a new story problem. Can you remember? I'm sure my class has it burned into their minds, but maybe I'll remind you. Okay, so there's 3 words that you need to remember every time you approach a story problem, and they are: read the question. You need to read the question to make sure that you are getting all of the information. That's the first thing you need to do. Slow down, look at the words, and the question tells you everything you need to know to answer it. There's no tricks. Remember, as much as I like to pretend, I am not trying to trick you. Neither is Ms. Dennis. Math is not trying to trick you. I only do that on April Fools and sometimes in class. So if you're reading the question, you will make sure that you have all the information to get the right answer. So we're going to practice with one on the board, and then I'm going to go to the sheet that I have put in the Google Drive or the Google Classroom. It looks like this. It says 3-digit addition practice, April 3rd, 2020. This time I am actually holding up the correct sheet. So if you have that, pull it out. If you don't, that's okay. Follow along with a blank sheet of paper, lined paper, please, and a pencil you will need. Some of you, when I was going through your work, were writing in marker or pen or crayon. That's not appropriate for math class. You always use a pencil in math. You're going to learn that right from kindergarten all the way to grade 12 into university. You never use a pen in math. Why? Because you have to be able to erase if you make a mistake, of course. So I might be using a marker, but that's just because I write more neatly in marker, and I'm the teacher. So I want to see you using a pencil, please. Also, when you're posting your pictures onto Google Classroom, please make sure that your pictures are clear. Sometimes it's really hard for us teachers to read. I know it's tough. Just make sure you're holding the camera really steady and you write pretty hard with your pencil, because if it's too light, it's also really hard to see. Anyway, okay, I thought of a really fun, there's fruit flies everywhere, sorry. I'm not gonna edit that out. Anyway, so I'm gonna write a question on the board. The question is already on that sheet if you have it in front of you. If not, you can watch me write. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So I wrote this big long question. If you have it in front of you, you don't necessarily have to look, but if you want to enjoy my writing, it's right there. So I'm going to read the question. That's step 1. Kip and Ophelia were flying over a forest. Kip saw 459 trees. Ophelia saw 347 trees. How many trees did they see, or sorry, not see, did they count altogether? So the first thing you want to ask yourself when you're looking at a word problem is, what is the question asking? What is the end thing? What are we trying to find? That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. What is the question asking us to figure out? Now, if I look over this, I'm going to see that Kip and Ophelia are counting trees. I guess they couldn't see anything better to count, so they counted trees. Ophelia saw 347, Kip saw 549, and the main thing the question is asking is, how many trees did they count all together? It's pretty much exactly what it says. So the next thing I want to ask myself, after I find out what the question is asking, I want to ask myself, what are the numbers in the question? So are we adding or are we subtracting? So what word in this question is telling you that it's an adding question? You were right, all together. So how many trees did they count all together? They put them together. So that's the word that you're looking for to tell you that you're adding. Next, you're going to look at the numbers. Most, I'm not going to say all, but most story problems have 2 numbers in them. And then you can just guess, those are the 2 numbers I have to add. But don't let that fool you every time, because sometimes that's not going to be true. So make sure you're paying attention and reading the question. So if I read this correctly, I know that we're adding. I'm going to see I'm adding 459 to 347. So I'm going to do this by lining up the numbers the same way we did last week. Does it matter if the 400's on the top or if the 300's on the top? No. When does that matter? It's weird waiting for an empty room to answer me, but I bet you're yelling at home. No, it matters. It only matters in subtraction. The bigger number always has to be on top. And we're going to look at that after the Easter break. We're going to learn about 3-digit subtraction. So you have that to look forward to. But yes, you're right. So when you're adding, it doesn't matter which number goes on top and which one goes on the bottom. So I'm going to put 459 on top. Remember my addition sign. And I'm going to remember my 347 on the bottom. Now, my friends, when I was looking at your work this week, some of us are writing very wonky and not neatly still. Now, if you're having trouble lining these numbers up in a neat way even with lines, I'm going to show you a trick. Okay. If you are having trouble lining these numbers up in a neat way, you can turn your page to the side. If you turn your page to the side, then you will have columns already written for you to draw your numbers in. So you could go, I'm just going to do it really quick. Like that. See how my hundreds, tens, and ones are lined up? I think if some of you do it like that, it will make your writing a lot neater, but a lot of you don't need to do that, and that's okay too. Whatever works for you, remember. So once you have your first number, your second number, your addition sign, and your equal sign, you can go ahead and add these numbers. So where do we start again? Hundreds? No, you're right. We start in the ones. So we have 9 and we have a 7. 9 plus 7. If you need to put the bigger number in your head, put 9 in your head. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And I can't have 16 ones in my ones column like I learned last week, so I'm going to put the 6 in the ones column and get that 10 over in the tens column. Now I have 1 plus 5 plus 4. Now, if you're like me, you like to add that 1 to the smaller number. And if I do that, I'm going to make a double. So it will be 1 plus 4 equals 5. 5 plus 5, 10. You got it. So we have nothing in the tens column. We have 100 in the hundreds column. So now I'm going to add my 1 to my 3 to make 4. And then 4 plus 4 is 8. So how many trees did the dragons count all together? 806. Nice work. Something else that I'm seeing in your work is when you're carrying these ones, some of you are putting them down here beside your numbers. I'm going to say maybe don't do that, because if one day you're just flying through these and you get confused and you turn this 5 into a 15, and you go 15 plus 4, that's going to change your number completely. So make sure when you're carrying your ones, when you're regrouping, you're putting those ones on top. And it will help keep your work a lot more organized. Good work, everyone. All right, we're going to do one more question together, and I need to get my handy dandy iPad all set up here. Got to make sure it's not upside down. There we go. Whoa, that was Looks screenception. Anyway, sorry. Easily distracted, like you've seen when I'm all alone. Okay, so again, this is the sheet that is in the Google Classroom. It is sheet number 1 on April 3rd. So we did this first question together. We got it right. Now we're going to do number 2 together as well. So number 1, we have to read the question. So Jackson had a coin collection. He had 567 coins altogether. 231 of his coins were in an album, and the rest were in a jar. How many coins were in the jar? So is this the same as the question we just did? No. Good. First things first, we got to ask, what is the question asking? So we're going to look at this last line. Does it say how many coins were all together? No. Can you see anywhere in the question that it says he had this many all together? Yeah. So if you want, you can go up here and underline. Wow, I hope you do a straighter job than me. Underline, because that is important information. I didn't do underlining on the last one. I should have. So follow along with this one. Underline things that are important in the question. The next one, the next sentence says 231 of his coins were in an album. So he has 567 coins altogether. Of those 567, only 231 are in an album, a coin album. I didn't know if you guys would know what that was, but picture it. And then the rest of the coins are in a jar. So what's important in that sentence? You're right. 231 of his coins were in an album. Okay, those are the 2 important things. Those are the 2 numbers we're going to be working with in this question. So there are a few ways we can do this. You can try whichever way works best for you. I'm going to show you the way that you did on a previous sheet. So this is actually nothing new. It's just a word problem instead of a number problem. So if Jackson has 567 coins altogether, if I'm writing a math equation, an addition equation, I'm going to set it up like this. And then that all together number, where does our all together number go? You're right, it goes at the bottom because that's what the 2 coin amounts added together equals. 567, that's the answer. Now I know that 231 of his coins are in an album. Remember, if you're doing this on a sheet of paper, you can flip it to the side to make these numbers all line up. Okay, so now I have 231 plus something equals 567. Well, how can I figure this out? Think to yourself for a second, how can I figure this out? Good job. I'm gonna say you got the right answer. That's what I like about this online learning. You guys all know the answers every time. So if I have 1 and I need to add something to it to get 7, what can I add to 1 to get 7? So if I'm gonna put 6, whoa, I just said the answer. Anyway, I'm gonna put 1 on my fingers and see how many I have to count up to get to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have to count up 6. 1 plus 6 equals 7. Now I have a 3 up here, and I need to add something to the 3 to get 6. Well, that's an easy one. I bet you can get that. 3 plus blank is 6. 3 plus 3. Awesome job, invisible class. Okay, now I have a 2, nothing, and a 5. So what can I add to 2 to get to 5? Whoa, you don't have to yell the answer, you guys. You're right, though. It is another 3. So, am I done? Did I figure out the answer? Technically, yes, but did I answer the question? Nope. You need to now say 336 coins were in the jar. Good, and that's your answer. Nice work. If you did that for me, I would be happy with that. Now there is another way to do this, and you could subtract to add. You could subtract to find the answer. If you want to do it that way and you know what I'm talking about, you can do that. If you don't, that's okay. We're going to do it when we get to subtraction. So try it the way that you understand, and we'll try a different way next time. This last question says, Kelsey and Kaylee were selling cookies for their Girl Guide group. This did actually happen a long time ago. Kaylee sold 214 boxes and Kelsey sold 566 boxes. Obviously, I sold more than Kaylee. How many did they sell altogether? No, we did not sell that many cookies. So if you are doing this question, you're going to first, obviously, I just read the question, but you're going to read the question again to yourself. You're going to underline the important information, and then you are going to solve the question that is being asked. Make sure that if the question asks you to add, you are adding, because that is what we are working on right now. I'm going to stop sharing and show you my face again. All right, that's all I have for you today in this video. Please complete number 3 for me. And then hand it in the new way on the Google Classroom. Tomorrow there will be another podcast explaining the next assignment as well as the next assignment the next day. Remember, we don't have school on Friday, so you get that day off and then we get an Easter break. I hope you're excited. I know it's going to look a lot different than last year, but make sure you're calling your friends, keeping in contact with people. Like I said, if you ever need Mrs. Dennis or I, you can email us. We can set up a Zoom meeting. Miss Dennis and I are just sitting by our computers waiting to talk to you. So anytime you need us, let us know and we'll be there for you. Send us emails too. You guys should be checking your email every day, checking the Google Classroom every day. That's your responsibility as an online learner, because you never know. Maybe we'll send you a fun email every once in a while. Anyway, we miss you guys. Love you. We hope you have a good day. Enjoy the math. Bye.